All right, so as I said, ladies and gentlemen, we have two presentations, one on BIM standards for India by Dr. Amarnath CB, President of India BIM Association, and the second by Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS. We shall follow it up with an interactive question and answer session in case there's any, so do make notes and you may get your queries resolved after the session. So there was some prior commitment because of which Dr. Amarnath CB could not make it to the workshop, but he was kind enough to present his insights through a video. So can we have the video on screen for everyone to watch, please?
Indian Infra for 2047, and I'd like to thank Dan and Dash for inviting me as one of the speaker for the discussion today. So my name is Amarnath CB. I'm currently based out of Mysore, and I serve as a consultant or an advisor for multiple AEC sector companies in handholding them for digital transformation journey. Previously, I had worked with Larsen & Toubro as a head of BIM strategy, where I've set up the BIM and digital adoption roadmaps for the company. And from the past 1 year, I'm helping different companies as an independent consultant. And along with this, due to passion on this area, I support in building the national ecosystem on BIM and digitalization through the India BIM Association, where I am a current president. And also, there's also initiative at the Bureau of Indian Standards on developing the BIM guidelines for the country, so where I co-chair the panel. Along with this, I do help multiple universities in adopting BIM into their curriculums, being part of their board of studies, and as a guest faculty and helping them in developing curriculums and so on. And nothing less than this, participate in multiple events in this area organized by the AEC sector forums. So this is my background. In fact, it's an interesting topic for today. It's about why do we need BIM and digitalization for the Indian AEC sector, and what are the key initiatives that the government of India, the digital drive further in the construction sector. So let me share my screen. I believe you can see my screen. Today I'll be discussing about how to enable BIM and digital adoption in Indian AEC sector. So AECO represents architecture, engineering, construction and operation sectors, which deals with all the built environment projects, that may be buildings or linear infrastructure or smart cities and all this kind of sector projects. So if you like to connect with me, this is my phone number and the email ID, so feel free to connect. Well, to give a brief introduction about the India BIM Association. It's a BIM forum or council or whatever you call it. It's representing the Indian BIM and digital adoption ecosystem. And we started way back in 2016, and we have a membership network, roughly 40,000 plus members, all Indian architects and engineers based out of different countries. We had also set up a MOUs, strategic MOUs with multiple countries, BIM forums and councils. Today you have roughly 40 countries having BIM forums and councils, wherein we had made an MOU with Brazil, Africa, Canada, Singapore, Serbia, Thailand, Hong Kong, Turkey, Nepal, Vietnam, Taiwan, and a few more countries. The key agenda of these MOUs are to drive the ecosystem, education, networking, and also for standardization and other areas. So we have multiple events we do together. And other than that, as part of the BIM Association, we do drive BIM through top-down, middle-out, and bottom-up approaches. A lot of events and conferences have been taken through this forum, where I can say more than 300 events we have participated till date, and spreading BIM and digital awareness and the importance of adopting it. through the academia, industry, B2B summits and B2C summits and so on. The overall agenda is to activate the BIM field players in the country. Obviously, when you have to enable BIM and digitalization, you have three field players. One is policy, second is process, third is technology field. So policy, when I say these are like regulatory bodies, education institutions, research centers, regulators and so on. Process field are the actual people involved in delivering the projects and using the projects. It's like owners, project managers, operators, architects, engineers, developers, contractors, and so on. And technology field is like software vendors and hardware developers and network providers. So we understand this ecosystem very well than any other forums and sectors in the country. So we are trying to connect these dots among these players and help build multiple startups and the developments in the country in terms of digital transformation. Other than this, we have seen that there are no national guidelines in the country, so an initiative have been taken up at the Bureau of Indian Standards, wherein I co-chair the panel under CED 29 P3 for developing BIM and digitalization guidelines. Where we have kept a timeline of 1 year tenure to develop these guidelines. The key agenda of these guidelines is to help the appointing party, which is owners, and then the lead appointed party, which is contractors, and their the third category is appointing parties, which are lead appointed parties, who are the service providers for these projects. So these guidelines will be supporting each of these parties in enabling BIM in their projects. Overall perspective is to make sure they can get the quantitative and qualitative benefits like time savings, material savings, health and safety improvements, cost savings, risk reductions, and have a better reputation for an organization, have a better asset quality and improved asset utilizations. All these things can really help you enable the return on investment and the capex and opex phases. In fact, we have launched a white paper on the National BIM Guidelines or Standard for the India, which clearly gives an overview about what are the key initiatives we have been taking at the Bureau of Indian Standards to take this initiative further. If you are willing to look at it, you can request us to get the white paper. And also we have developed a CD, which is a civil engineering department, as a part of BIS, wherein we have a panel. And also we have multiple working groups which are formed to develop the guidelines to support the appointing, lead appointed and appointed parties in terms of implementing BIM in their projects. Other than this, there is an initiative at the National Skill Development Council of India, National Skill Development Corporation of India, where I'm also part of the committee. A national skill qualification framework has been floated, which will define the different BIM job roles which are required in any particular project, starting from the leadership to managerial, coordinator, and the technical roles. In fact, skills and competencies are getting defined at the NSDC for these job roles from the Construction Skill Development Council of India. It's a very interesting area because in coming years, for the projects, we may need to put in these job roles requirements in the contract so that all the EPC companies and their partners can adopt it and can align with the requirements of the contracts. And in terms of global trends, I mean, in fact, I've done a doctorate in BIM and helping companies in setting up their strategies. And also education was one of the research area. And during that time, I got an input that roughly 40 to 50 countries have adopted BIM in their education. And that keeps on revising every 6 months once. So any Tier 1 institutes and 2 institutes have these kind of wonderful curriculums developed in these universities in architectural, civil, mechanical background disciplines. In fact, we have developed a framework which can help these universities to adopt in terms of integrating BIM in their curriculums, so that we can have BIM-enabled graduates from these architecture and engineering backgrounds. I'm also part of a company called BIM Crew, where we're also working on building the technical manager and leadership skills through the programs which are organized, which are open for corporate trainings and also as a executive programs. So it's very much important to make sure you have a proper BIM skills and competency building initiatives as part of the national entity. So we are here to help you build those capabilities also. And as my past experience, I worked with L&T Construction as a head of BIM strategy for almost 4 years, because that's my research area. Initially, and then with the EPC contractor, which is L&T, where I clearly say that when the mandates are coming from the government for different projects, it's also important for all the AC sector companies to build their digital transformation roadmap and strategies and keep it in place. Understand the leadership vision, mission, goals, and also understand the current situations and capabilities of the organizations and their teams. Understand what should be the kind of yearly budget for transformation and quarterly initiatives that the company need to take, and also kind of softwares and hardwares you need for the enabling BIM in your company, and also kind of teams that you need to recruit or the trainings you have to provide through your departments, and also the kind of partnership you have to do with BIM linked service providers. So these are very critical in terms of strategy so that you can be competitive enough with other companies in the market, and you can also deliver BIM as expected by your client, which can help you realize the capex returns and also help your client realize the OPEX return on investments. In fact, it has 5 focus areas. One is setting up the IT infrastructure, then developing the process and guidelines, and having the people trained and setting up the proper communication platforms, and better management of data and information which is generated in the project life cycle by you and your partners, and identifying and aligning your team for the BIM technologies what you need in the projects. It's a kind of handholding which is required, and developing a strategy and aligning all the team members towards the same strategy and vision. In fact, in L&T Construction, we had 7 to 8 independent companies. Since this is my key role in the company, I had developed a strategic roadmap for 6 independent companies. They are like heavy civil, buildings and factories, water and effluent treatments, metallurgical and material handling company, power transmission and distribution, geostructures. And there are also companies like L&T Hydrocarbons and L&T Reality. Each of these companies had different departments like design, execution, plan, quality, safety, procurement, tendering, form work, and so on. So we had built a 3 years roadmap to enable BIM in the complete organization, and it's more of a top-down approach. And a series of workshops were organized with all the departments, roughly 80 to 90 departments, to align the leadership vision, mission, and efforts of the management and the working team towards a common line, and also make them realize the budgets what they need on a yearly basis and get the approvals, and also focus on identifying the right technologies, hardware, and manpower, skill building partnerships for the taking of the transformation further. I mean, a very good expertise has been built with these capabilities what I had got an exposure here. If you are looking for any kind of support in these lines, feel free to connect. And what I would propose as an action plan for mandating BIM and digitalization for the government of India is, I mean, these are some 12 key important areas what I would recommend for the government of India through the NITI Aayog tribe. So number 1 is to develop a national BIM and digitalization authority. In fact, you have multiple BIM forums and councils in the country. The first one is like India BIM Association was started. Along with that, there are supporting forums and councils for architecture, engineering, and things. So you can identify the key experts from each of these and build a national BIM and digital authority under the NITI Aayog umbrella, which can help you drive the transformation for the country. Second is develop a national BIM and digitalization strategy by supporting the authority which has been built under the entire umbrella. And third is BIM mandate for public projects. In fact, you can think of different ministries like healthcare, housing, road transport, highways, military engineering services, aviation, and many other ministry departments dealing with built environment projects. There are different size projects ranging from 100 crores to 10 to 20,000 crores. So you can have a phase-wise mandate for the projects under these ministries for bringing in BIM as a public procurement. And then the next one is BIM education for government officials and nominate one or two experts under each ministries for different projects who can quality control the BIM expectations and the deliverables of the projects. And then promote BIM guidelines which is getting developed under Bureau of Indian Standards. So in 1 year timeline you have the BIM guidelines in place. So taking up this initiative and the efforts from the BIS and promoting that through them for all the ministries for implementation. And then regulations for data privacy and security associated with implementation. Today, a lot of 3D platforms and softwares are getting implemented from different tech vendors. However, there is a security issues with respect to the data flow, since most of the software data when you're on a city gets routed through other countries, which is a threat. So we need to set up a city policies on having the data centers locally set up in the country for all the tech vendors. And then the National BIM and Digital Adoption Center need to be set up, which can support different ministries for adopting BIM. Awards and recognitions for outstanding BIM projects, which can help these projects and their organizations to build enthusiasm to drive it further so that it can benefit them and also their partners. And organizing conferences, summits, and workshops to build awareness on BIM and also to drive the network among the BIM service providers and to connect the dots. And then integrate BIM in the tertiary education system for architecture and engineering disciplines and driving it into the curriculum through the AICT and other universities and driving setting up the BIM curriculums and so on. And then support Indian BIM associations and forums and councils in driving that ecosystem, which they are already doing independently. But a further fuel through the NITI and the government would really help driving it further. Then having a pilot projects on BIM and digitalization will really help for the companies to enable BIM in their projects. Promote open BIM and affordable technologies, which is very, very important because if you have to integrate BIM in the complete life cycle, open BIM is very much essential. And affordable technologies are very much essential because you have big companies and also small scale companies as part of a project. Small scale companies cannot afford expensive solutions. Grants to set up BIM Center of Excellence in multiple universities in collaboration with industries need to be provided by the government. And also certifications for the AC organizations by the Bureau of Indian Standards or CAI, FICI, kind of initiatives by Indian initiatives where they can provide the BIM certification for the organizations, showcase their maturity of BIM in delivering the projects, which can be part of the contract to get the points for the companies to get their projects. Well, this is a kind of proposed action plan from my side. So feel free to connect with me. And what I can say at last is, let's work together for digital transformation. There are a lot of initiatives in the country and a lot of efforts are put in place from experts who have gone to multiple countries and back in the country, and also people working in the country doing a lot of R&D. So connecting these experts and enabling it is very critical and crucial today. It's not that our country doesn't have the capabilities in place. In fact, India is also known as a BIM factory for the nation, for the global market. Roughly 40-50 countries are taking BIM services from the Indian service providers. And a lot of technologies on BIM are getting built in India from the back-end teams. It's not that India doesn't have the capabilities. Even Indian companies understand the global standards developed from different countries. So its only thing is, initiatives from the government of India to connect these dots and drive it further with a proper action plan is essential. And thank you once again for giving this opportunity for letting the inputs in. So feel free to connect. Thank you.
Once again, a big thank you to Dr. Amarnath for sharing his insights with us.